Take it to them. Ruin their motivation to survive. Private side is like a jungle holding rest of a nation. You couldn't hold me like a tongue, your knee collapse in the weight. Hey, gorilla hearted, I be in my chest to stay alive. Take it to them. Ruin their motivation to survive. Private side is like a jungle holding rest of a nation. You couldn't hold me like a tongue, your knee collapse in the weight. Hey, gorilla hearted, I be in my chest to stay alive. Hey.
Wow, energy drinks. They keep you going. Welcome, brave thinkers, to the electrifying realm of dangerous thoughts. Here, we fearlessly plunge into the abyss, the turbulent waters of controversy. We explore the untamed territories of subjects often deemed too risky to talk about, too fearful. But fear not, this is a fearless sanctuary where no question, no concept, or no topic is banned. We'll dive into the perilous, and we invite you to join us in our relentless pursuit of understanding. Our mission is to delve deeper into these topics, challenge assumptions, and to embolden discourse, conversation. And guess what? You're not just a watcher, a spectator, but you're an integral part of our riveting expedition into the dangerous bunghole of the DT family. No, we're not. Who put that in my teleprompter? That's terrible. That's not a good joke. Okay, brace yourself for the wild ride through the labyrinth. Oh man, somebody's really messing with me. All right, I quit. I quit the show. No, I'm just kidding. So
go rogue, Manu.
Yeah, I'm going to go broke this week.
Did Val sabotage you?
Yes, I think so. Hold on.
Oh my. Tell us how you really feel.
that came from our I wish we were sponsored by Monster. We'd be rolling in dough. But we're not. Oh yeah, this is where I take my phone and I click over to the next part of the show. Yeah, it seems like, I used to do this show on a whim, and then once we've got this little format, now I can't seem to function without my little format. The 30-second pitch. Hey everybody that's watching Dangerous Thoughts. We need you to like and subscribe. We really do, because when you like the channel and you subscribe to the channel, and if you're even cooler, if you share the love and share our show on your social media, we grow and people watch us. And then YouTube, this amazing company, pays us to do this, and we don't have to. Well, at some point.
Eventually.
One day. Well, one day. So please share, like, subscribe. Take the time to do that. It's a couple of clicks. It's not a big deal. So do it. No monologue this week, but I do want to ask the random parenthetical, because I didn't think we got good answers a couple weeks ago. If you could go back in history and you could watch anything in the world that's happened, but you had no ability to change the outcome of history, what would you go back and excuse me? What would you go back and watch? What do you think, Mala?
I would go back and watch the pyramids being built.
That was that your answer last time that we did this? Yeah, but you're right.
Same answer.
It's still a good answer. But what if it's just as lame as like a bunch of people rolling logs, like they say, and
actually,
even in
there are theories now that they used pebbles to move those big rocks. And it's actually quite amazing. There's a man in Michigan, and he and the guy who built Bell Castle in Florida are thought to use just little pebbles, and that just gives you the fulcrum you need and the leverage to like lift it and turn it and then keep moving it.
Fulcrum. That's a good word.
I
like that word, fulcrum.
There was also a dude somewhere who built a tiny Stonehenge, like a 1/3 Stonehenge model in his backyard using sticks and little pebbles like that. And he lifted all
but
the stones.
Stonehenge is not so amazing to me. You give me 100 guys, I'll make you a Stonehenge.
He did it by himself.
Yeah, but
One guy.
the pyramids, pebbles, logs, I don't know. Those things are pretty amazing. And in fact, just in general, the stonemasonry from all of ancient history blows my mind. Even I don't know why we don't build things like that today. Like I saw this recently, Notre Dame, these cathedrals that are so beautifully amazing, built from stone. We don't build that anymore. Why not?
It seems like we've lost the technology in some ways, because even the Roman concrete was much better than the concrete we use today.
Yeah, I built a fence with my parents a couple of weeks back. That. And that concrete was crap. It was just horrible.
The mix and pour.
The mix, and you just mix it with the water, and there's a couple of pebbles in there, and it sort of kind of hardens over 2 weeks, and it certainly doesn't look like the 16th chapel.
Right. No, I've used that. It's not great. You think it's going to be great, but no.
No. I'm sure there's better concrete than what we bought, because my dad's a cheapskate, but still,
you got to work within your means.
We've got neat buildings today. Don't get me wrong. The Dubai buildings are pretty and all that, but they're not the stone structures of the ancient times. I'm blown away by that stuff.
Me too.
If I could go back in history, I got to answer the question now, since you gave such a good answer.
Sorry.
I guess I'd go back and see dinosaurs. Yeah. I'd go back in like an alien spaceship and just hover. Like I would look up what the tallest dinosaur was, and I would make sure that I stayed above that level, or maybe like 50 feet above that level, because they jump. They might jump, and I would just like hang out in the ship and check out like Jurassic Park.
Jumping dinosaurs, that's terrifying.
Yeah. Well, they must jump. I mean, they're with big
little arms.
Well, I would go back and make fun of Tyrannosaurus Rex, like, ha ha ha, you little arm fuck, and then I might make it.
Just don't get eaten.
Yeah. So we have an incredible show this week. It's going to get heavy. This is I didn't quite understand what we were getting into, but this is Dangerous Thoughts, so I'm not scared of it. People might find out that I'm a total a-hole this week, but maybe they've known that from before. We'll see. But we have Sarah Lauren on the program tonight, and she is an author. She wrote Alchemizing Exploitation, her debut book. And she'll bravely open up about her journey overcoming sexual exploitation and reclaiming her personal sovereignty. Oh, by the way, this is Mala, our co-host for this evening, our special co-host. We usually have Tyson on. Tyson's going to be popping in and out throughout the show, but Tyson's dealing with some family emergency stuff, so he won't be here this week. But Sarah Lauren, Alchemizing Exploitation. So through her poignant narrative, she will shed light on the pressing issue of contemporary slavery, emphasizing key aspects and offering insights on breaking free from its shackles. Join us for a thought-provoking discussion as Sarah shares. That's a hard thing to say. Sarah shares her experiences and advocates for the empowerment necessary to combat this modern-day challenge. So let's bring her on. Sarah Lauren, thanks for joining us on Dangerous Thoughts. How are you? Oh, you got to unmute your microphone. Your microphone is muted.
I am good. Thank you for having me.
No doubt. Thanks for coming on. This is a heavy-duty topic. I don't think we've tackled something this hard to talk about, to tell you the truth. Like, I'm a little scared to discuss it. So that's fun for me. So let's just start with the first question. What's it like to come forward with a message after years of silence and hiding? And whatever you're willing to share with people about your background and what happened to you, I know people would love to hear that.
Okay, yeah. How does it feel? It's a little strange sometimes and nerve-wracking, and I definitely had to reach a place inside of myself that's like, I don't really care. I'm just going to do what I need to do in order to move forward. So
we all kind of have to find that in ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Fuck what people think. I'm gonna do what I do.
Just do it. Just be yourself.
Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
No worries. So, okay. I wrote this book because I feel like what happened to me is really common, and it's around human trafficking. And I was just writing some notes, but human trafficking is actually a product of a broken system in society, and it's in our backyards. So it's actually employers, family members, or intimate partners that most commonly traffic people. And this is especially in the United States. The United States is one of the largest consumers of this. And oftentimes people don't even know that the person they're engaging with has been trafficked. So, do you want me to just jump right into what happened?
Yeah, tell us.
Okay.
I mean, it blew my mind. So yeah, tell the listeners what happened to you.
Okay. So I was an adopted kid, and I was very curious and wanted to know everything about my biological background. So I reconnected with my birth mother. And after I was 18 when I reconnected with her, and she was super fun. And, it felt like we had never been separated. And we could drink together and smoke together, and everything was on the table.
We talking about everything? We smoking weed, crack, heroin?
I didn't know about drugs. yet.
So you could smoke cigarettes together, drink together.
Yeah, we would smoke cigarettes and drink together. Yes. And then, part of this were conversations that we had. So I don't know if you're familiar with what grooming is, but grooming is taking somebody who is vulnerable, like maybe their mind isn't fully formed, or they trust you because you're their mom or something like that. And you talk to them about how actually it's kind of cool to sell your body. So she would have these conversations with me like, oh yeah, I did this thing all the time when I was younger, and it was really fun. And so I thought it was, crazy. I was just so fascinated. And, I probably should have run for the hills at that point, but I didn't. And by the time I was 19, she put GHB in my drink, and I lost consciousness, obviously, and she trafficked me. So she kind of just gave me to the people that were supplying her cocaine. And
did it start out slow? Like when you say grooming, did it start out with like partying with people and doing coke and having a little drink and maybe a little bit of sexual favor, or was it straight to like knocking you out and you wake up somewhere 6 months later?
It was knocking me out, and then I wake up somewhere a few months later. But it started out, it took a year of like drinking, smoking cigarettes, and
getting you at least
get me more comfortable. And then, why don't you spend the weekend here? And that's when
she straight up sold you, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
So I think it's worth mentioning that this woman grew up in foster care in the United States and was abused her whole life.
Absolutely worth mentioning.
Yes. It's not like she knew what she was doing. And
she did, but
yeah, to some extent.
yeah, but abuse cycles abuse, right? She had to have known that she was going to hurt you, but she couldn't. What is that with the cycle of abuse? Have you figured it out, Sarah? Because I have. I've had a few relationships in my life where I've had girlfriends with PTSD that have been pimped out, that had not been, well, I guess they've been trafficked because they were pimped out. They were forced by a boyfriend or another man to dance or to have sex, and promised to be in movies. I grew up in Hollywood, so there's all sorts of this shit happening there to poor girls that come out to try to be movie stars and end up being sex workers by some dickhead man that or woman that makes them do it. Um, but what is that the cycle of abuse is so interesting to me because I don't understand it. I understand, like, okay, this happened to your mom, and what happened to your mom? Do you know the story?
Right.
I don't know details.
But abusive relationships and,
like she
trafficked herself or
yeah, I don't know how it happened for her. I know she was thrown out of windows. She told me that a few times. She said
wow.
she just said, she had a lot of abuse. She was abused her whole life. And the cycle of abuse. So she starts out as a victim, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then she becomes addicted because she can't cope. And she has all these health problems. And then she starts having seizures. And she's got PTSD and bipolar. And just from the trauma, she has developed these pathologies.
Yeah.
And it's because she had her brain connected in a certain way to allow her to function in a way that allowed her to survive.
To survive. Yeah.
And
wow,
she
you're putting
didn't.
it really clearly.
Yeah. So the victim goes through this cycle. They get stuck in this cycle, and now she's addicted, and she needs to feed her addiction. So she starts doing things that are against maybe a moral code that she might otherwise have.
Or she probably has it.
Yeah.
This is one thing that I think a lot of people don't understand. When you get addicted to hardcore drugs, especially coke, painkillers, heroin, these days all these kids are doing fentanyl and stuff like that. I think for someone who's never experienced addiction, it's hard to have empathy for someone who, if you've never experienced addiction yourself, it's really hard to have empathy for someone who has. I've been addicted to painkillers and opiates in my life, and they were really hard to get off of. Luckily, I had really, really good parents and really, really good friends, and I could afford to go to rehab after rehab after rehab and then disappear into the woods for 6 months. And you really need, like, people really don't know because of, and alcohol is a killer too. I mean, I was in a rehab with heroin addicts and meth addicts and coke addicts, but people, I think in general, the country doesn't understand how strong that addictive nature of the pain of addiction, the struggle to get off of a really addictive drug, can create those pathologies in your brain that you will sell your baby for crack, you will sell your girlfriend for heroin, try to talk her into having sex so you can get your next fix. Those kind of things happen because of the strong nature of the not strong, but the extremely, like, I can't think of a word right now, but wish I had a better word than strong, but the extreme nature of addictive drugs. I don't think people get it sometimes. I think a lot of people don't get it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And it's almost like it's a psyops, right? Like it's pushed on people in a lot of ways, vulnerable populations, people in the foster care system, immigrants, people that don't have, means are susceptible to the opioid crisis, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just all kind of connected, and what it creates is slavery. We're like, a lot of people are enslaved. It's more prevalent right now than at any other time in human history.
Really? How do you know that?
Slavery is.
Yeah.
That is
you mean sexual slavery?
Yes. Exploitation, like forced exploitation. And that's a quote from The Sound of Freedom.
So,
you heard of that movie?
Yeah, my friend made it, actually. My friend Lucas Benkin is one of the producers of that film.
Wow.
But I haven't seen it yet, but I will. So what do we do about this? I'm skipping ahead on these questions, but what's the answer to helping less people become victims of sex trafficking?
Well, I think a lot of things, saying out loud on a public platform, this happened to me, and I was able to recover and function as a human being, and you can too. That's one thing you can do. And then also recognizing, is mainstream ways of treating pathologies really helping? Because I took Paxil for, I don't know, about 6 months. And that was one of the worst periods of my life. I was a total zombie. I couldn't function. And it didn't work. So there are things that you can do, though, that do work. Things that help you connect with your internal guidance system. Because I think in our bodies, we have so much intelligence about what we should be doing. For instance, after I did a assisted psilocybin therapy session, I automatically knew I shouldn't drink tap water anymore. I don't have any kind of a scientific background or, research or anything like that. It was just, don't drink the tap water. And so I started distilling water at home. And over time, I just had these promptings to look at where I had nutritional deficiencies, for example, and I take a ton of supplements. My favorite is sea moss, which has 92 vitamins and minerals in it, because the foods that we're eating, like the processed foods and water that we drink and things like that, and then these pharmaceutical drugs are actually depleting our body's ability to heal itself. And that's important to have homeostasis in your body in order to heal your mind too and work through trauma. So that's just a start. But, I found things like meditation to be super helpful. I did work a couple of 12-step programs as well. And the plant medicine, the psilocybin, it was like I could use it like a tool to go back in time to moments that were traumatic and feel the pain and then let it go and rewrite my story by parenting my inner child or something like that.
I am a big fan of psilocybin mushrooms, so I'm glad that you brought them up. I've used them throughout my entire life because I was a hippie kid. My name is Monumente Reme, and I'm a white Irishman, so obviously there was some hippies involved in my upbringing. But I found LSD and psilocybin and ayahuasca and DMT and all those beautiful shamanistic chemicals out there that actually let you, what I would call, completely reset your spirit. I've never had a mushroom trip, a psilocybin mushroom trip, good or bad, and I've only had like one bad trip. But even the bad trip, at the end of it, I had learned so much from it about myself, my soul, the life, death, the future, who I am, that it was worth doing. I don't advocate people eating bad mushrooms, but even the bad trip I had, I just got some mushrooms, I think, that had a lot of cyanide, or not cyanide, what's that? Strychnine in them. And so it was like that really awful feeling in my body the whole time. But I still had the trip, and it still left me in a better place than I was when before I took them. I think it's amazing that. What do you think about this legalization of psilocybin? You must be happy about that, right? Colorado, Oregon. Is there any other states that you know of that are legalizing psilocybin? And
Canada.
Canada's doing psilocybin, MDMA as well for mental health as well. I think it's a great idea. LSD, I think, is one of them too. And there's one more. Oh, mescaline. They're trying to do that one too.
Yeah.
So you must be happy about that, right?
Yeah, that's really cool. And it, like you said, you know, in your experience, I haven't tried the other things like ayahuasca. I would, but I haven't done it yet. You just feel like you're a better person after, even if it's hard work, right?
Yeah.
And yeah.
That's my soul right there that just popped over the.
That's awesome. Yeah. And then, you know, also you said
you get in touch with that, right?
Yeah,
the kid inside you when you eat mushrooms, you know, you remember what it's like to be pure and innocent
and you remember who you are.
Yeah, and forgive yourself for the adult bullshit that's happened to you.
It's a rare moment of wonder.
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah. I dig it. Okay, so I don't know if I cut you off. I probably did because I do that to all my guests. I'm sorry. But I have
cut you off.
Oh, I have more questions for you. Okay, so this book, Alchemizing Exploitation. Let's see. Okay.
I was wondering.
Go ahead.
What state are you in, Sarah?
I'm in Georgia.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I thought she was going to say a meditative state.
That's later.
Yeah. So this one says, why did you have to embrace radical responsibility to heal? And how did that lead you to freedom? Radical responsibility.
Because I had to come to an understanding that on some level, I create my reality. I can actually
on some level.
Yeah, I can choose my thoughts, right? So it starts in my thinking. So when I stop saying horrible things to myself and start saying encouraging things to myself, it's like what you focus on expands, right? We're creating our reality. So I had to accept after it happened, because I went into a decade of this, my own victim triangle pathologies that I had to act out. And then I was like, oh, but I don't have to act it out because actually I'm creating this. So how do I rewire those neural pathways and create something better? And just the littlest things every day, like waking up thankful, can change your life.
No doubt. No doubt.
Absolutely.
I like radical responsibility because it's very hard for anybody, let alone victims of trauma, to look at themselves and accept responsibility for the parts of life that they've created. It's very hard for people to do. I know I'm a super self-destructive, person, and I have to check myself on that all the time. I also know I'm not like a very good person. Like I'm manipulative and I lie to people and I do all sorts of terrible things. I treat people poorly. I treat my wife poorly. I do things that I have to forgive myself for and accept responsibility for all the time. And it blows me away how many human beings are out there in the world that they won't even look at themselves in the mirror. Like they won't even accept anything. You can see it from the outside. You're like, whoa, you're full of shit. But it baffles me that people can't accept that I love that term, radical responsibility. Like, hey, I'm going to check myself and I'm going to heal myself. That's cool. Ancient wisdom. Okay, cool. But the rest of that question was radical responsibility. Use the example of the victim triangle. You did, escaping through improved thought patterns. This led to entering to the empowerment dynamic as the creator of my reality. Let's talk a little bit more about creating our reality. That's fun. All right. So I truly, I don't believe in anything, and I don't not believe in anything. I was thinking before the show, I was going to ask the question. Actually, why not? Let's do it. Sarah Lauren, what do you know for sure?
Ooh, that's a good question. I know I love my children. I know that love is the strongest force in creation.
That's beautiful.
Mala, what do you know for sure?
I know nothing.
Me either.
I know nothing. That I am sure of.
Yeah, I know absolutely nothing either. But I really like Sarah's answer, and
I do too.
I'm pretty sure she's right. I'm pretty sure she's right, like 99.99999%. But I'm not 100%.
I am totally blissfully ignorant.
Yeah, I mean, love is a powerful force in the universe, and if we accept each other and we stop those horrible traits that are in human nature, and we focus on love, 24/7, as much as we can, keep that cycle of positive thinking, like Sarah talks about. You're going to have a better life. You're going to create a better reality for yourself, instead of walking around all day going, crap, I'm stupid, I'm dumb. So, I think you're right, Sarah. Wow. It's funny because my answer was nothing too, and Mala's was nothing. And every time Sarah answers a question on this show, she's, when I saw you originally, I judged you immediately. Like, I don't know what it is about your look, but I was just all, this girl is just like, okay, she's been through some shit and whatever, and like, what I did, that's the crappy person I am, right?
That's a dude reaction.
Yeah, it's a dude reaction, right? Like, oh, get it together, whatever, really? Get over it. But no, like every I want to tell you that every time you've spoke, you've been incredibly articulate and intelligent, and have sort of knocked me for a loop. So I wanted to make this a show where I fought against whatever you were teaching, but I don't have any problems with it at the moment. So this led to so how ancient wisdom teachings allowed her to embrace the concept of a higher self and the I am, the who I am. So how did ancient wisdom allow you to embrace this concept? And what ancient wisdom are you talking about?
Yeah.
I just went down this rabbit hole of reading things like the Nag Hammadi scriptures, the Bhagavad Gita. They're the Gnostic texts that were found in the Nag Hammadi caves in Egypt.
Are the Gnostics a Christian sect? Is that who we're talking about? The Gnostics?
Well, I believe when that group got together, what is it? The Council of the Nicene?
The Council of Nicaea. Yeah.
Nicaea. There we go.
Nicaea.
So wasn't there a split where Roman Catholics went one way and Greek Orthodox, the Eastern religions, went the other? The Eastern Orthodox?
Well, during the Council of Nicaea, they took all the books and they canonized them and put them into one, and then declared Christianity law. Constantine is the guy that was ruling at the time. 300 something AD. I don't know. But
325.
Okay, but how does 325? Yeah. Smarty pants.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So this split, how does that relate to the ancient wisdom that we're talking about?
Well, somewhere between a psilocybin-assisted therapy journey and reading these texts, I realized that, oh, it's part of the control that we're under as a society. That's the Roman Catholic part, right? Maybe, I think.
Yeah, me too.
And the other part is more Gnostic. They're the Eastern religions. They're like, this is what was originally wrote, what they left out. And when I read the things that they left out, the things that I had grown up reading made so much more sense. And I was like, oh, and those experiences that I have when I'm going into this deep healing journey line up with what I'm reading. Things, you know, like discovering the I am, like I want to meet my higher self. And then I realize I am Sarah Lauren, but before that, I am.
Yeah, you are. Sarah Lauren is just a blink in all of this. Yeah.
That's just the role I'm playing this time around.
That last quote, St. Nicholas got himself into some trouble at the Council of Nicaea. He got him into a spot. Does anyone know this? What Subspace Chatter is talking about?
I do not.
Yeah, me either.
But if you, Subspace Chatter, could come on.
Yeah, come on and tell us a little bit about what happened to St. Nicholas during the Council of Nicaea, because the Council of Nicaea is something I've always been fascinated by. You know, when Christianity became law and spread across the world, and then that started the Crusades and all that stuff. So, but let's get back to what you were saying. The stuff that they left out when you read it, and give us an example of what made more sense to you when you read the stuff that they left out.
You know, I can't quote it exactly because I don't have it memorized. But there was something in the Gospel of Thomas that was like, you know, Jesus was astonished at man's poverty that they had created for themselves. It was like this way, the way it was written, a light bulb went off. Like, wait, he's astonished at their poverty and they created it. So we're like creating this crazy poverty
slave system that we've been in for a while. Yeah.
So why can we create them different now?
Yeah, it's about time.
If only.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Great.
That's why. Look, I hate this boner that dropped out of the race. I forget he was a Republican. DeSantis. Yeah. There was only one thing. There was a few things he said that I liked when he was still running in the primary. But one of them was he wanted to disband the IRS. And I was like, that's a fantastic idea. Why are more people not jumping on his train or that thought process? Because from a not just sexual exploitation, but economic exploitation, I feel like I was born into a slave class. I've been stamped a number. I'm valued to a state that takes my actual, like, taxes me for my actual working labor. To me, that is baffling. The fact that people are so programmed out there that they like think this is somehow humble and good. Pay your taxes, be a good citizen. I'm just like, what the fuck? No, not my labor. Like, tax me for something else. I understand a tax system. Like, hey, how about just a 10% flat tax on our sales, and we'll spend that on government jobs and roads, and 10% of everything that everybody spends. You think that would be enough? But no, they want so much more from us. And they're getting to the point now where they've got this new tech called Bitcoin or whatever. I forget what it's called, the technology.
Cryptocurrency?
The blockchain, right? And they kids are going to start using it, and they're going to start buying everything on the blockchain. And it's a literal, like, forever lasting accounting of everything you spend. And they're when it started, people were just like the internet, selling it as the great democratizing power but I think it's exactly the opposite. I think they're going to track, like they do now. They track what we say, what we do, what we think, what we spend, but they're really going to be able to track literally every American digital dollar that we spend. And then they can prove that we're not paying our taxes in such an easier way. And then they could use it to the American prison system, which is the biggest system in the world.
Right.
We lock up more people than any country on earth. If they want to start really putting people that don't pay their taxes in prison, which is pretty much all of us, we all cheat. Not all of us, but most of us do. I'm copping to it. There I go. I'll see you in jail next week.
According to the 14th Amendment, they can put us in jail and use us as slaves.
Yeah, that's what they do.
Criminalized.
Yeah. And before, I was thinking back to World War II and how Hitler used the Jews. And I think that in America, the new slave class is, of course, the lower class, which is what we've all been reduced to, but also the drug addict and people
the vulnerable.
Yeah, the 90-something% of people in the U.S. prison system were addicts in some way or drug criminals,
or from marginalized communities.
Yeah, so they've made the new slave the poor drug class, and then the CIA moves all this cocaine and everything else into the lower class communities, and it's a horrible, weird slave system that we live under. But I'm not off topic. I'm just taking it a little farther than I thought I was.
Sojourn.
Yeah. So the ancient wisdom. Okay. She will describe what alchemy means, from healing trauma to eliminating disease in the body. Ooh, I like that. Tell us a little bit about that.
So alchemy, yeah, it's turning lead into gold, or turning some bad experience into an opportunity to heal and become a better person. So anybody that can do that is technically an alchemist, I think. And then just in the body, if you look at our food source and our water supply, there's a lot of heavy metals and toxins in what we consume, mostly, unless you grow your own vegetables and just are Amish or something, which maybe I should take some lessons from the Amish or something. But you have this buildup in your body, right? So like lead, basically, but it's different things. It's chromium and mercury and all these different things. Well, you can detox your body, or you can alchemize them into gold. Actually, the spiritual aspect of gold, I think, is light. If you look at the etymology behind the word gold, in Hebrew it's or, and then in French or means light. So that's just kind of what I believe, but it may not be true for everybody. So when you take things like a lot of vitamins and minerals that your body is lacking based on what you're consuming, like sea moss, for example, has 92 vitamins and minerals in it. You actually can take the heavy metals are alchemized. They're transformed. And it'll push out toxins. And now you've got a balanced body, a body in homeostasis that can fight off disease, because disease is not a natural state. We're not supposed to get cancer and things like that, but we have been for many years.
It's funny, we were having this conversation before the show, and anytime that coincidence happens, I think that's how the God brain talks to us. So literally before the show, we were upstairs and we were talking about the poisons in our food and how disgusting and cancerous everything is becoming, and they're finally telling us that processed meats are all cancerous, and et cetera, et cetera. So I think this is a topic we should get into a little bit more. And like How long have you been studying supplements? And like you mentioned CMOS, what other things do you really believe in as far as taking to make your body a more, like, what else can we do to avoid these poisons that the big government is trying to force down our throats?
Well, okay, I think that we do have kind of like a built-in guidance system in our bodies. We can be biologically prompted to eat what is naturally good for us. And I think a lot of times when we crave, if I crave a lot of sugar, which I used to, it might be an indication that I have parasites calling the shots within my body. So I do a yearly parasite cleanse, an herbal one with wormwood, black walnut, and clove. And I do a tincture. So I do the tincture 3 times a day and peppermint tea to calm my stomach. And then I take the CMOS to make sure that my body has the nutrition to be able to handle the cleanse. And I also take a probiotic enzyme. And there's one more thing that I take. Oh, a stone breaker. So you don't get kidney stones.
Oh, wow. What's that?
Chanca piedra. So a lot of times, if you do like the parasite cleanse, you might get a buildup of kidney stones because of all the toxins that you're flushing out of your body. And so in order to prevent them coming out as stones, you can do the stone breaker while you're doing like a 10-day parasite cleanse. And then that just helps you have natural cravings more in alignment with your natural state of health.
Yeah, it's fascinating. You know what makes me more angry than anything is every time I go to see Western medicine doctors, and I bring my wife, my heterosexual life mate, in to see Western doctors, or I see them myself. They always want to give me a pill of some kind that I have to take for the rest of my life. They always have I've never met like a Western medicine doctor where I go, these are the supplements I'm taking. What do you think? They don't know. They're not educated on any sort of the just things that we've known have been healthy for our bodies for thousands of years. And I guess they call it alternative medicine. They even use these words to make it a negative. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we know that these things are good for our bodies, and we've known it for a very long time. There's so many books that have been written on herbal medicines and natural medicines. And I think look, I'm not saying there isn't some benefits to Western medicine, as far as like, there are some wonderful things that we can do to extend people's lives, but it blows me away that doctors that have spent 12, 16 years studying don't know that maybe taking a little mint tea might help your stomach.
Well, it's not pushed by big pharma.
Yeah,
so
right.
They don't get the kickback for it.
Yeah. So I also think that whole thing is part of the slave system we're talking about.
Yeah.
The whole Western medicine thing. I know that the symbol of the doctor with the snake going around it, and if you look in the symbology of it, it's pretty wicked and evil and old. It's like it's not a good thing, that symbol. I wish I knew more than that. See, I swear I should just wing this. Mala, you got a good question?
Dude.
Oh, actually, you know what? That's what I wanted to say. You said alchemy and turning gold and negatives into a positive. I love my father. I also hate my father, but I love him more than I hate him. And he's always saying, anytime your ego is damaged, it's a chance for you to become a better person. So anytime somebody offends you, it's likely because your ego is damaged. Not necessarily 100%, but it's likely it's because that false part of you is damaged. And that creates your ego wants to immediately fight back and say, that's not true. But anytime somebody offends your ego and you're able to recognize that, it's a chance to turn lead into gold. It's a chance to become a better person, to see inside yourself and go, oh, maybe that is true. Maybe I do spend too much time thinking about myself, or not taking the dish for someone else. And maybe I could try doing that. And then you find, if, like, just an example of, like, could you take your mother's dish to the kitchen and wash it for her? It makes mom feel good, and it makes me feel good doing it. And, this is something I learned over Christmas recently. So, being able to turn lead into gold is a constant in our lives. We are constantly offended. We are constantly checked by other people. And it's every time you get angry, it's a real chance to look inside yourself and actually better yourself. And so many of us waste that and just stay angry and stay self-denied instead of, what's the word? Radically responsible. I love it. Okay. So the next question is about storytelling and the power of storytelling and healing and personal growth, and how writing serves as a tool for you to personally grow. Do you have any more thoughts on that subject? You just wrote a book, so Alchemizing, what's it called again? Alchemizing
Exploitation.
Alchemizing Exploitation. Okay. And where do people get this?
It's on Amazon and Barnes and Noble, or my website.
And your website is?
IamSarahLauren.com.
IamSarahLauren.com. That's Sarah with an H, by the way, everybody. IamSarahLauren.com.
Link in the description below.
Yeah. I always forget to say that. There's, what I don't like about YouTube is I can never see the description below, but more people are more tech savvy than me. So
it's because we're seeing it through a different.
Yeah. If you want to check out Sarah's book, go to the description below and check it out. There's a lot of other stuff down there too. But yeah, so how did writing the book and storytelling help you in this journey?
Well, for a couple of years, I guess I've been on this journey of healing for about 5 years. And for the first maybe 3 years, I just consumed information. I wanted to watch things and I kind of isolated and stayed away from people and want to just consume information. But I had this feeling deep in my gut, like when I would watch podcasts of people that I really liked, or see some thought-provoking speech, I would think, I really want to enter into the conversation. I want to just enter the conversation and be a part of it and be seen, because I was invisible. I was hiding on purpose because I was scared to be seen, all that guilt and shame. And when I just wrote, I'm not an author. I mean, I guess I'm an author, but I'm not like this hugely professional literary genius. I just wrote the thing that happened to me and tried to create, turn it into a story of hope to maybe help somebody who has experienced something similar. And in doing that, I found my voice, and I'm still finding my voice. And now we're having this conversation. And that whole process is empowering and healing.
I think everybody should write. I've always wished that every single human being took the time. I mean, our lives are very, very long, and they're very, very short, depending on your perspective. But we all have the time to write our story. And I wish that every human being that had ever lived had taken the time to write their autobiography or biography. What is it? Which one is it?
Biography.
Biography when you write it yourself?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, auto when you write it yourself, but generally speaking, just biography.
Okay.
Have you seen The Magicians?
No. What do you mean? Which magician?
The TV show?
Oh, I've read the book.
By Les Grossman.
I've read the book, but I haven't seen the
where
show.
They have everyone's life story in the library there. I love
Wouldn't that be amazing? Yeah.
That would be.
I think everybody has we live these extraordinary lives. I don't care how boring of a life you live. Even my 86-year-old uncle, Uncle Ward, like, who I just thought was a bump on a log. He raised 4 kids. He was Catholic. He never got a blowjob. His wife never let him do anything but missionary. He was very, very, very Christian, obviously. And he drove like a bus for most of his life and worked construction and just, went to work 9 to 5, 9 to 5, 9 to 5, 9 to 5 for his kids. But he's this extraordinary man. And like in my 20s, I would judge him as just, uptight Uncle Ward. I always loved him, but I didn't realize like his life has been there's so much fun going on in his life. And it wasn't until he was like 86 and his wife had died, I went up to visit him in Seattle, and we just sat and had conversations man to man instead of the family dynamic of cousin to uncle. And he started showing me pictures of like my ancestors when they were my great-great-grandfather, who was like up drilling the Alaska pipeline with this big old beard and all his buddies smoking cigars, and how when he was a kid working on the dairy farm in Washington, he would meet this guy and he would tell him these stories of the wilds of Alaska. And like, I'm like, Ward, why isn't this in a book? I would love to read the Uncle Ward book. I wish more humans did what you do and actually took the time to write down their experience. I think it would benefit all of us. So cool that you're writing. I wish more people wrote. And like you said, Sarah, too, about writing, it's just, I don't think anybody necessarily is like, sure, there's geniuses out there, but all of us can write. Or all of us should be able to write.
Yeah. We can all text. Not everyone can write, though.
Yeah. Maybe if we break this slave system that we're talking about, all of us will write better. More better. What's the just kidding. Right. Everybody out there, right. Even if you're just keeping like a diary, I think it's 15 minutes a night, write down what happened during your day and remind yourself what you learned. And that kind of positivity can do some amazing things for people. So I've got like 3 questions left here, and then what time is it, Cassie? Cassie's gone? Cassie left me? All right.
No, he's on mute. You're on mute, Cassie.
All right, it is 8:01. We're 1 hour in. We have 5 callers lined up.
All right, I have to get to this question though, and then we'll take callers. How a mass group of people can get enslaved. This is really interesting to me. This is a mental state that is nurtured by systems that promote polarization. This is why I wanted to get into this, because I think polarization is happening because of social media. Honestly, I think it's one of the biggest reasons that we're being polarized, these algorithms and the social media machines on the internet. And like, people of different belief systems aren't talking to each other anymore, and I think that's horrible. Like, I would love to have on this show, and I'm sure it would be very hard for Sarah, but just as an example, I would love to have a sex trafficker on this show espousing the benefits of sex trafficking, you know what I mean? And then have her rebuttal. Like, I think that's a healthy thing to have that conversation. He might learn something from her pain. She might learn something from, who knows? But the conversations, I think, are important. It's like, there's this kid that does these podcasts. His name's Lex Friedman. And he's got millions of viewers, and he interviewed Tucker Carlson, and he's more of a left-wingy guy. So people gave him a lot of shit when he interviewed Tucker. But I was like, no, like, these two people need to talk. Like, we got to quit being so polarized. So the question is, how can a mass group of people be enslaved and in this mental state that is nurtured by systems that promote polarization and external resources as solutions? Her story highlights an issue that is far more widespread than human trafficking. Oh, slavery is more mental than physical. Wow. Get into that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think human trafficking is just like one byproduct of the whole system, like we've been talking about. And yeah, mental freedom starts in the mind for sure. When you realize, wait a second, I can direct my thoughts and create my reality. That's a game changer. That was huge for me because I didn't know that I didn't have to just be in my head all the time saying you're so stupid, you're so ugly, nobody's gonna like you. You know what I mean? It's just a trap. It's a mental prison.
Yeah, I've been there.
Those aren't even your words echoing in your mind. It's the words of other people coming down on you, which is even harder to overcome sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah, and other parts of I always call those words ego.
Mm-hmm.
Because the ego is just, it's never really that healthy. The confidence of ego, I'm down with confidence. Confidence is okay. But for me, the ego spends a lot of time being really, really self-destructive. I mean, just a few minutes ago on the show, I was like going, I'm a worthless piece of crap. I know it. I look at myself in the mirror. I manipulate. I lie to people. I treat my girlfriend like shit. Now, I wasn't lying. It's true. I do those things, but I'm trying to get better at them. I'm trying hard.
But that's self-awareness.
I'm trying to walk the path of the righteous man. I'm trying. Yeah.
Aren't we all?
Yeah. Okay, we've got 5 callers, and we usually end the show in an hour, and we're already over time. But Sarah, I found you fascinating. I would love to bring you back for a longer form conversation if you'd ever do that with us. I feel like we've just touched the edge of something that could be a lot of fun in a long form interview. If you'd like to do that, please write us and let me know. I'll send you an email to follow up. Otherwise, let's take these questions from some of our viewers.
All right. Up first, we have, a messed up StreamYard. It really wants to put Tyson as the co-host is what it is. So
because we love Tyson.
Well, I'm sure Tyson's full of questions at this point. So
hi.
Hey, Tyson.
Well, first, can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah.
Okay. Number one, I want to say what a great show, and Mala, all my love. Thank you so much for filling in tonight. For those that don't know, I live at home with my parents.
Can I do the heart without the devil horns? There we go.
Can we do it? Yeah.
There we go.
I live at home with my parents, and at around 3:00 this morning, my mom passed away. And so normally I would be the co-host of tonight's show. For obvious reasons, I wasn't able to do that. Mala stepped in a moment's notice, and I can't thank you enough, Mala. Thank you for that. I just want to say how much the DT family has meant to me over these years. Manu in particular, who has believed in me and promoted me to this amazing role of being co-host, to which next week I will be here in proper form and not crying and not,
You are here in proper form right now. You're supposed to be crying. You're supposed to be feeling these things. You're supposed to be drinking.
I appreciate that, and no worries, I am. Just you guys have been amazing, just amazing. So with that, I want to say first to Sarah, thank you so much for being one of our amazing guests. This show thrives on the Dangerous Thoughts platform of areas that are taboo, that are otherwise you don't talk about this in public. We bring this here to this show to highlight, to say, no, we do talk about these things. They are important. And for me, maybe personally, even more so right now. But thank you, Sarah, so much for being here. Thank you, Mala, for taking on the job I couldn't do tonight.
I'm barely filling your shoes.
Oh,
Barely.
stop it! Wonderful, wonderful. I feel threatened. So you're so wonderful. But let's get to some other callers. I just wanted to get in here and say thank you so much. I appreciate
We love
the
you,
family
man.
more than you know.
Yeah,
We're with you.
We're with you. Grieve well. Call me anytime, man. I love you.
We love you, Tyson.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay. Who's
Up next we
for
have
Sarah Lauren?
Dave Prime.
Dave Prime.
Glad you got me all teared up, Tyson. Our
So
hearts
you know
are with
what?
you.
Yeah, for sure. I also want to say that I've learned something on this show that I didn't really realize about sexual trafficking. Well, Sarah said it's never been worse. This country is the most sexual trafficked country in the world. I think you said earlier, the United States. No,
the largest consumer, one of
the largest consumer of sexual trafficked product. I'm I didn't want to end the show with this, but I'm a big believer that as far as like sex workers, I think sex should be sex for money, etc. should be a legal thing, should be a controlled thing, should be something that's protected. There should be sexual houses that have like
Safety
protocols, security. You can't join one of these things until you're 25. There should be all these sorts of rules to regulate sex work for money. Like you can't sell your daughter into sex work when she's 18 or 19. Like, I think you don't really. I think most people, some people would know they want to do sex work at a young age, but I think a lot of people, for me, the benchmark would be like 25, 26, somewhere up there. Because when I was 18, I didn't have much of a mind. I didn't have much one at 25 either, but I did know whether I wanted to do sex work for a living or not. So I just wanted to mention that I think one of the ways to combat this slavery is to actually make it legal, so that there's not all this underground illegal sex trafficking going on, and that people can have their fetishes from other people that happen to enjoy those fetishes or happen to enjoy the immense amount of money that they get from those fetishes. I have experienced paying for sex on a number of occasions, and the most pure, most loving, most caring situation that I've ever paid for sex. I don't do this anymore. This was a 20s thing. I'm 40 now. I have a loving wife, and I don't need to do what I did in my 20s. But the most loving and the most caring and the most beautiful experiences that I had paying for sex were in these Nevada brothels, because the women there, not only were there all these protections, but it was only twice, by the way. But the two experiences that I had with two women over a weekend at this place, both of these women were like millionaires. They had 4 homes. And I was like the little 20-year-old kid that they were taking advantage of. It felt much more like that than it did the other way around. And I sort of went out, these women were strong women and they enjoyed what they did for a living. I could tell that. It wasn't something that was forced upon them. So I wanted to mention that before the show ended. What do you think of those thoughts, Sarah? Do you think I'm an asshole for thinking that, or what do you think about that?
No, I think that's a fair point of view to have. I've also been to Elko, Nevada. I get it.
Okay, cool. And I think there should be the same for LGBTQ. There should be men's houses, there should be women's houses. There should be all sorts of legal sex work instead of, this underground shit where everybody gets hurt. And people shouldn't be hurt during sex. I mean, you can make an argument for BDSM, but I don't dig that shit. I just don't see what people do like about it.
But that's less about pain and more about control.
Yeah.
So that there is a distinct difference there.
And then to talk about the legality of BDSM is a whole different topic, because I don't know how you could stop people from. I mean, the whole point is to get hurt in BDSM, right? So I don't get it. I tried it a little bit in my 20s, and it hit me again. No, I don't want to.
Don't hit me.
Yeah, don't hit me. Don't bite me. Don't hurt me. This is supposed to be intimate. But that's
Maybe
just me.
Choke me a little, but that's it.
Yeah, just a tad.
That's it.
Just a little bit. Okay, sorry. Dave Prime, your question. Go ahead.
Well, it's not more of a question, but I just wanted to thank Sarah for sharing her story. I'm sure it opened up the eyes to a lot of people here tonight, and those that watching on the replays, and hopefully everyone will share this tonight so it can get to their socials and just kind of spread the word for what you went through, and saying so it can enlighten even more people.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
I'm sorry for cutting you off and then cutting Sarah
I'm used
off.
to it.
But, right before, I didn't get to my point when I was babbling on about legal sex work. But Sarah really opened my eyes tonight to the amount of people that are victimized in this country. Like I just started to think about all the different girlfriends that I've had and the stories that they've shared with me about their horrible boyfriends or their pimps or their, young, dancing at, all nude clubs and being snuck in by the people to get their boyfriends that beat them up coke for that night. And, stories like that I've heard growing up in Hollywood over and over and over again. I really think that's something that Americans don't understand, is how prevalent of a problem this is. And thanks for bringing that to the show, and hopefully it does get out there in a big way.
Yeah, now that.
Sorry, Dave.
Well, I was saying, Mono was mentioning it, saying I actually dated a guy that was in the sex trade in Seattle some 20 odd years ago, where he was given erotic massages with the happy ending. So
was he forced into it?
He did it. He, as far as I know, he did it of his own free will. But
was he broke? Was he poor? There's all sorts of things that can force you to do this. Sometimes you can just like it, but it's rare.
Yeah, the apartment that he had wasn't that great of an apartment, but he was getting by with it, and it wasn't in the best neighborhood either. And I see your hand motions there, Left Witch. But actually, we kind of lost touch, and then we bumped into each other at Pride that following summer, and he says, "Oh my God, I'm glad I found you. We need to talk." And I'm like, okay.
That's never good.
No, it's not. And it turned out that around the time that we were intimate, he was seroconverting to HIV positive.
Oh no.
And we did have unprotected sex, so I immediately went and got tested. I came back negative. Negative ever since, yeah. And plus I was on top, so I was less at risk, but there's still a risk.
Well, now wait a second. Did that happen during the sex work that he was doing?
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yes.
Yeah, that's something we didn't even touch on. Thank you, Dave, and thanks for thanking Sarah. There was no question, but Sarah, do you have anything else that you want to add to Dave's thoughts? Otherwise, we'll move on to the next question.
Thank you for your thanking me, Dave.
You're welcome.
Dave's the man. We love Dave Prime. All right, who's next?
All right, we're gonna go a little out of order. I want to bring Chris Leftwich up next.
All righty,
So
Rooney.
here we go.
Chris, how are you, Chris?
What's up?
How's everyone doing tonight?
My bad.
Yeah, just bring me up. Oh my God, really? You just, oh my God, I wasn't even prepared. Anyway,
Giggity.
Sarah, you
Are you
awesome.
kidding? We've been watching your hand motions.
Well, that's what I do, you know. That's how I talk.
It's true.
With your hands.
Yeah, it's like that. Or, the camera's reversed. I'm sorry. I'm old, you know. So, Sarah,
I feel you.
oh my God, where to start? Number one, you have been an amazing guest. You are awesome. I love you. The sex trafficking thing. I've worked in retail all my life. I'm 50 years old, and I've seen it. You know, I've seen, you know, guys that come in with their girls and they just, you know, the girls fuck a bunch of other guys and they get money for it. And the guy doesn't care because, you know, he's all, you know, got the money. He's got the big giant, you know, pimped out car and all this shit. And, you know, the big booming stereo and all that. And I've seen it. I was an informant for 7 years. I helped take down 2 of the guys that were actually doing that. And we're going to leave that story right there. You were talking about getting like to actually know yourself and shit. And you were talking about ancient stuff and things like that. Am I correct, Sarah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
I'm not Sarah, but that's what she's saying.
Well, you're Manu. But Sarah, I'm all into ancient stuff. I am of the ancient astronaut theory. I have been since 95 to, well, I actually became of the ancient astronaut theory in 1997. And I was listening to Coast AM every night. I worked third shift in a convenience mart, and I listened to it every night. You know, that was the days of Art Bell and you know, Richard Hoagland. He was a big dude on there. Linda Moulton Howe on there. You know, just all kinds of stuff and things like that. And I was looking at all different types of religions. I was going down to the library. I was reading books I was going to occult stores. There's several here in Nashville, and that's where I live. I was, you know, just getting books and reading them on, you know, the occult and witchcraft and all the ancient religions. But I was also reading the Bible. And and the Quran and the Torah and all that. And I was putting this all together just by listening to the radio and reading these books. And I was like, holy shit, this book's talking about aliens. Son of a bitch. These evangelical motherfuckers are going around doing this bullshit and they've never read the goddamn book. And you know, and looking at all the ancient structures, like, you know, the pyramids. You know, if you look at all of the ancient pyramids that have been created all around the earth, the ancient. I mean, we're talking, you know, thousands of years ago. If you look at them and you GPS them, they actually make a grid pattern around the entire planet. It's fucking. We didn't do that. I'm sorry. I'm going off on a tangent. Sarah.
No, it's all right. Aliens. What's the question, Chris?
Well, I was wanting to. I mean, Manu, we've talked about this for the past couple of years. But Sarah, I was wanting your bounce back off that. What do you think?
Okay, I'd love to hear what you think about who the Elohim and specifically Yahweh was.
What's that?
Are they aliens?
The Elohim, Yahweh, I think is the term for the God Yahweh. It's kind of, I think it comes from the breath. Yahweh.
Oh, dude! One of my old gamer tags on Xbox was YHVH.
And the Elohim are Old Testament. I think, are they the angels that had sex with men? I don't remember. Who are the Elohim?
Those were the
The
Nephilim.
Nephilim. Those were the Nephilim. Who are the Elohim?
Weren't they the big ass dudes that walked around down here that fucked our girls
and boys?
Yeah, they came through the Stargate at the base of Mount Hermon, I think. But yeah, I mean, it does make sense, the whole ancient astronaut theory. Yeah,
it does. When you take all of the ancient texts, I mean, all the way back to the Sumerians, and you put it all together, the ancient Sumerians, if you look at the text, they say that we were created by people that came from the sky and they came here. And then you look at the Bible and it says the exact same thing. The only thing is it refers to it as God.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of different gods' names in the Bible.
Dude, I've been abducted. I've seen
Jehovah in the beginning.
No, I haven't seen Jehovah. I've seen a giant Tylenol.
You've seen a Tic Tac. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, it was a Tic Tac. Yes.
Tell me a little bit about the Elohim, Sarah.
Well, I don't know much about them. It just seemed to me like, okay, when you read the story about Enlil and Enki, like you said in the Sumerian text, you realize, wait, are they talking about one God or is it like different entities?
Yeah, I feel you. One of the things that bothered me right at the beginning of the Bible, it says, behold, right in Genesis, God, after let there be light, et cetera, he says, behold, when Eve eats the fruit or whatever the fruit is, God actually, Jehovah says, it just says God now in St. James, but says mankind has become like one of us. Now, the Christians always say, not the Christians, but the like the hardcore Roman Catholics would say that God is talking about the Father, Son, Holy Ghost. I think that's a total cop-out. I really do.
Dude, exactly, Manu. Genesis chapter 1, verse 36. And God created man we create man in our image, in our likeness. Yeah. And then the Bible refers to multiple gods all the way through it. And what I personally believe, now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I am fucking crazy. I don't know.
We all are.
Well, yeah, of course. Well, of course, but, I believe that the mythological gods, Odin of Athens, Baltar, Nemesis, all of them, Athena. We have here in Nashville, we've got a 1-to-1 scale recreation of the Parthenon. It's fucking stupid, dude. The thing is huge. Anyway, I believe that they might have come down here and actually created us, mankind. But now, if the story of Adam and Eve is true, if it is, maybe it's not, maybe it is, I don't know. But if it is, it would have had to have happened at least 300,000, 500,000 years ago, because we have found remnants of, whatever we will we're Homo sapiens, but whatever it goes back to that, and they've been found in Africa. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe,
I think
maybe it's not.
I don't know what Sarah's opinion is, but I think that the Bible is super interesting. I think the Old Testament is mostly metaphor.
Oh, yeah.
New
Fuck
Testament,
the Old Testament, dude. The New Testament's where it's at.
I think there's some history there too.
But
it's
just bloodlines and shit.
When I think of the Bible, I just think of Jesus's teachings and, turn the other cheek, love thy neighbor, the old rule, the eye for an eye bullshit, and all the old rules that God made are no longer, the new rule is love thy neighbor, turn the other cheek. Love. That's what Jesus talked about. And so that's all I really take from the Bible is Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Jesus's teachings.
Well, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are basically the exact same book. They were just written by different people. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
It's the same book over and over again. You're right. There's just subtle differences.
Well, for the first 4 books of the New Testament, and then it goes into the book of Acts, and then you have the writings that were meant to go to the church, quote, and then you go through all those, and then you have the book of Revelation. It's not the
Revelation is such a trip. Somebody was eating mushrooms when they wrote that book.
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe kind of.
Look, have you ever? I wanted to ask Sarah this. Have you ever read the book, The Sacred Mushroom and the Cross?
No.
If you can get a hold of that book, it's out of print, but it's an amazing book about how mushrooms have actually birthed all forms of religion, and especially Christianity. And so I'm wondering about those times that you took the trip into the spirit world. I'm wondering what your take on religion is. What would you label yourself, if anything?
Spiritual.
Right on. Me too. How about you, Chris?
I would label myself as a Wiccan.
A Wiccan, I dig it. Right on. Yeah. Wiccans are cool.
I would label myself as a Wiccan. Because if you study, when I was looking at all the religion, I was studying the planetary things, and when you do a spell or you create a alchemy, Sarah, this is what I was wanting to talk to you about. When you create, you have to do it within a certain time frame. You have 12 hours of sunlight and 12 hours of night in every day, so the time is completely different. And if you actually know witchcraft and you know Wiccan, you know what I'm talking about. The thing, you have to do it. You have to calculate it and do the thing within a certain time frame. And it can be like doing a spell or doing especially alchemy, where you gather this bark from a tree, and you get the dew that's been on it, and then you go over, and you get the leaves from a clover leaf or something, and then you get this.
The
and
fuck
this
are you talking about, Chris?
And a different, no, listen. And
God, the dew from a bark and what's the?
And you take all of these ingredients, and you put them together, and you boil
mix them up in a bowl, boil them,
right, and exactly, and you drink it, or you rub it on your face or whatever, and it will allegedly get rid of freckles. It will grow hair. It will you can cure any type. In my theory, you can cure any type of disease by simply just mixing the ingredients that we have growing on this planet,
naturally,
like the trees, exactly, and just cure anything. I mean, cancer.
Yeah, it's herbology and permaculture. Yeah. We just need to get back to our tribal roots and
our tribal
roots.
That's awesome. Right. And also, I think another ingredient in the dew and the bark and the bowl is the belief in our own system and our own purity of our own soul to heal our bodies.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
that positive outlook, and
we have tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands of plants here on this planet.
Shane Acre says
to figure out the combination to do something like that.
I'm sorry, I was laughing at a comment.
Shane's comment.
Shane, wow, what a live stream to watch after smoking a blunt. Yeah. Well, hey, marijuana is one of those healing
vaping.
substances. You know, marijuana is one of the lightest hallucinogens there are, and I think it's one of the most safest drugs out there. So
yeah, and it's rarely used in alchemy. That's the thing.
And I think, you know, what you're sipping on and what Tyson was sipping on earlier is one of the most dangerous drugs out there, and then yet it's legal.
Correct.
So I think
correct.
that is, you know, something that goes into what we've been talking about tonight, and how they keep us all enslaved in this system. All right, so we have Katie, and we have one more, and we have Bob, right?
Yep. Here we go, Katie.
Thank you, Chris.
Katie.
Good morning. How is everyone?
Good. How are you?
I'm okay, although I nearly missed the entire show.
Well, the entire show is Chris Leftwich going off about aliens and.
No, well, I thought that because of your time change,
transmutation.
I got it all confused, and I thought that the show was going to be at 3 a.m. for me instead of 2, but it was actually at 1 a.m. So.
Oh. Well, apparently, if you mix aliens and angels and dew and bark in a bowl, you can grow your hair back. Just want to let you know.
Yeah, I'm a pagan witch, and I've never done that. But very interesting anyway. But no, I just want to say, Sarah,
I love
this
that guy.
show has hit me right in the feels. It really has. And your story could help so many people. And I'm not going to go into it, but when I was a teenager, I was the target of a groomer, someone who was very close to me. And for 3 years, he groomed me. And eventually, I managed to stop it. But like I said, I'm not going to say anything else on that because I will probably cry, and I'm not crying live on air. But no, it's very good to know that there are people out there that do recover, and it's very hard to get out of that place, and there are always setbacks as well, and to be able to push through those setbacks and get over those hurdles and eventually just knock them the hell down. Me personally, I've done a hell of a lot of work on myself over the years. And it's only been in the last, 3 or 4 years that I've seen actually any progress. But yeah, I think that people should tell their stories more. And I will be getting your book.
Me too.
Yeah,
I'm very curious to read that.
Definitely. And the alchemy thing is, yeah, that is exactly what needs to be done. For you to be able to grow and move on with your, well, I say move on, it's something that you in a way never move on from, but you're able to
grow beyond.
Yeah, grow beyond it and draw from it to give you
I don't
strength.
know. I might disagree. What do you think, Sarah? Do you think you can completely move beyond this crap that happened to you in your past?
I think I can take it as the fuel that got me to wake up in a way and say, see, because my view, we were talking about beliefs. I believe that before I was born, I chose to come here at this time in this place and do something.
Wow.
So
I'm not laughing at you. I'm actually, I believe the same thing. And I judged you so harshly when you came on the show. I don't know why I was in such a negative place.
Maybe I just come off kind of funny to people.
Yeah, I don't know, but I believe the same thing. I think we choose our. I've told people on this show a million times, so I'm not going to interrupt you again. Keep going. Sorry.
So basically, like, so maybe I chose to go through all that stuff so that I could come out of it, heal from it, and be like, hey guys, follow this path if you want. If you
help other people in the amoeba heal as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like it unlocked my ability to heal by healing myself.
Well, you know, as someone who believes in reincarnation, I often think that we are put on this earth to learn specific lessons. as our soul grows from each life to get to that perfect point where we are finally one with the universal all. But like, so this is the story you were meant to tell, and this is the story that you had to learn in order to grow in the next life, right?
And we're all reflections of light and reflections of the other. And so we all learn, and that's how we all get knowledge, is bouncing light off of each other and sound waves, which are really just light.
Yeah, gnosis. Yeah. Activating this within each other.
Yeah. And when you talk about the Gnostics earlier too, there's a Gnostic religion in Hollywood, and there's this little church that I used to go to that I loved because the preacher was so cool, and I used to just go hang out there sometimes. And he would say a lot of weird things, like the God that looks over this universe is not like, you know how we're just according to mainstream science, and I tend to buy it, we're evolution of monkeys, and we're doing our best, but we're not really like a super intelligent species. I think dolphins and things like that are probably better off than human beings. But the Gnostic, the guy, he would say like the God looking over this universe is an imperfect God. He's he, she, it, the God brain of this little corner of the universe is in training. And I kind of believe that that might be the same for all of us on this little planet. And they're like earlier when Chris was making some sense. I think there might be multiple gods. I read this book called Urantia, and Urantia is supposedly, I won't get into it, but it's a really thick book about channeling that was written a long time ago by a bunch of channelers. And it is basically all these gods coming through these channelers to tell human beings how the universe works. And to wrap up, 1,400 pages, it's basically that there are a lot of gods out there outside of paradise. You called it the universal all. I like to call it the God brain. Wherever the great creator force resides. But that there are a lot of them and a lot of us, and our souls, I believe, are actually living in a multiversal existence where we're living thousands and millions of lives at one time and soaking up all sorts of knowledge and making all sorts of choices that the universal loving God forgives you. Believe me. If you want to get into I didn't mean to sound Christian, but the universal God brain has nothing but love for us. That's something I do know.
See, you shouldn't apologize for how you see your deity, because it's supposed to be different for every person, right?
Yeah, and I think we might even be so powerful, our souls, that we can create what we believe outside of this avatar called a human being that we hang out in. So who knows?
We're all just made of energy. The same universal energy that's out there that connects everything, and that energy needs to be filled with love. What you were saying earlier about love, I always make sure that I send love and light to people every day, whether I know them or not. I send it out into the universe because it's what's needed. Because they say like love makes the world go round, and to some degree it does, because if there's no love in the world, that means there's only hate, anger, spite, and our home will be destroyed, and a part of the universe will be destroyed along with that. So love and light always need to be. And earlier I lit a pink candle on my altar to send love out to everyone, because it is needed. And yeah, people need to just be nicer.
Yeah, wear slippers in the streets, wear your pajamas to the store, hug people, smile more often, talk to strangers. right?
Yeah, hugs are life. I love that.
Chris is offering hugs right now.
Also, I actually agree with what you were saying earlier, Manu, about like legalizing
everything,
prostitution.
fucking everything.
Yeah,
Taxes.
I actually think that could stop a lot of brutality and things like that. And like you say, if it's all managed properly, like medical checks, security, everyone's going to be safe, feel safe. There's going to be no disease running around, and things like BDSM, which I think you've got the wrong idea about, but things like BDSM can be practiced properly and safely. You know,
I'm just saying my experience. It wasn't for me. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, I tried it, and it was for me. I just didn't. I couldn't get down with the pain.
Yeah,
don't appreciate the slap and tickle.
I mean, I felt what Mala was saying, a little choke here and there, a little, that was all right. But when it actually got to like smack me with this paddle, I'm like, no, and it hurts. And
what was the safe word? Do you remember?
Oh, we had all kinds of safe words.
Yeah, stop. No.
Be removed.
Gotcha.
Giggity.
Banana.
All right. We've gone on a long time. Right. We've got one more guest.
Bob.
That has one more question.
Bye, Katie.
Hey, Bob. What's happening?
Hey, Bob.
You might be muted. I think you're muted.
Something's
Unmute
not
yourself.
Working.
I dig.
He looks very Simpsons.
I think we might have an alien. He's got a green glow. We might have found one.
He's escaped from the Simpsons.
Oh, it's from his. It's from his.
Two.
There you are.
There you are.
Hey, Bob.
Hi,
hey, Bob.
Hi, how's it going? I just wanted to say, Sarah, thank you so much for your talk today. A lot of it resonated with me. I wanted to say regarding the trauma aspect of it, I'm just blown away how you can go through something so extreme and survive. I did have a question which might be valuable for others to hear. How did you manage to get through that traumatic experience? How did you manage to find the power to just stay? Did you have any control, or was it just autonomous that you managed to just progress through and manage to get through that difficult time and get out of it?
Well, when I was in the situation but was conscious enough to actually escape and get into a safe house, after I was there for 6 months, and it was an 18-month program, so I didn't last. That rage hit me, and I started running. Like, I just got on a plane and went to Boston, and that was the start of basically a decade long of just off and on, getting angry, running away, disappearing. So actually my life had to completely fall apart before I reached this point. I had to hit bottom, I had to basically lose everything and my mind to be like, I surrender. I surrender
Indeed.
my will.
I hear that. I've been through something similar. I was also hearing you talking about the building yourself and rebuilding yourself and actualizing your thoughts about what you want to be. And that was resonating with me because I've done something very similar the last 3 months. And after going through a traumatic experience myself, you can reprogram your mind and detox and get those toxins and those chemicals and those molecules out of your body. You need to introduce natural organic fuels and substances which are grown naturally through sunlight and water to feed the body for the fuel we need for our mind, body and soul. And the trauma which you go through life, you can transmogrify it and use alchemy and all sorts of methods to put pressure onto the dust, dirt, and take the dirt, coal, and all the mess and just force it together And under the pressure and mantle of strength and the inner core and the power you draw from within, from that deepness in your soul, you can force it into a diamond or an emerald or a ruby. And when I saw you, I could just see the ruby light shining from your soul. And I think that what you've gone through and what you've brought to us and what you've shared is incredible. And I'd like to thank you. And I hope your ruby keeps glowing for us.
Thank you. That is so nice. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ditto. So I'm going to end the show on the note that was written for me by someone, but it's great. It just says, Sarah is living proof. It can happen to anyone, and Sarah is living proof of that. She also proves you can get out, create a better life, and help others to do the same. There is hope no matter what you've experienced in this lifetime. And that is absolutely true for anyone, heavy trauma or not. So, Sarah, thank you for sharing your story. The bravery that it takes to do so is amazing. And thank you for your book. I hope a lot of people read it. If you want to get her book, it's in the, what are they called down there?
Comments.
It's in the description below.
Yeah, description.
Description below. Yeah, it's in the description below, and you can go to her website and please contact her. And especially anybody that's been through anything even resembling Sarah's experience, the book will probably help if you're in a dark place. That's Dangerous Thoughts for this week. I want to thank our guests that stopped by to ask Sarah questions. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. We are going to be off the air next Sunday because we will be giving Tyson a chance to get himself back on track and grieve well. And we're also going to be booting up and getting some more juice for our computer to update and make the show better. So we'll see you in 2 weeks here on Dangerous Thoughts.
Take it to them. Ruining motivation to survive. Privatized like a jungle holding rest of a nation. You couldn't hold me like a tongue, you need to last in the way. Hey, gorilla hearted, I beat in my chest to stay alive. Take it to them. Ruining motivation to survive. Privatized like a jungle holding rest of a nation. You couldn't hold me like a tongue, you need to last in the way. Hey, gorilla hearted, I beat in my chest to stay alive. Hey.